Okay, so my name is Courtney Interview. I am from, I'm sorry, what is the question? Sorry, you might need to go. Yeah, so both my parents are in the military. My mom is a Black Hawk helicopter pilot, CW3, and my dad is a retired, he had a Purple Heart recipient, and is 100% disabled as far as the military views him as. And so daughter of two military, and then my older brother Ryan was in the military as well, as a mechanic. My aunt is in the Army. My uncle is in the Navy. We have, a very, very military background as far as all that goes. Two of my uncles, my dad's side is so big. He's got 12 siblings, and I think 3 or 4 of them are in the military. So
no guilt for not having plans to go in the military?
No, I've actually gotten that so much from people is, oh, you want to be like your parents, or oh, you want to be like your mom and grow up to be a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. That's so cool. And it is, it has been such a cool experience, growing up and having that, and growing up and, going to her facility with her and getting to look at the aircraft and stuff, and that was our playground really as kids, me and my sister. And so people are always asking, why don't you want to go in? And it's like, I think I've had my fill of going in and experiencing the military and deployments, and I've seen how hard it is on families in that respect. And I feel like I've given my part, that I don't really necessarily want to continue giving those, if that makes sense, not in a negative way, but
no, one of the things that we were well.
Honestly, I don't feel like a lot of people understand the impact negatively on it. Great, it's a wonderful experience growing up and having family, but you don't understand how many birthdays and holidays and every school concert that my mom was deployed on that she wasn't there for, basketball games. I was a 4-sport athlete when I grew up, and they weren't there. They didn't get to participate. They didn't get to watch. And they don't also talk about when a person is deployed, when they come back, they're not the same person as when they left, and so readjusting to life and missing, you leave and you see your parents or whatever, and on their end you see how we are, and then they come back and they want to be just as involved as when they left, and you've adjusted to the way things are without them for that. It's not only the deployment period, it's the training that overlaps on both ends, that they're gone. They may not be deployed yet, but they're gone, they're not there, and so you get used to that as a kid growing up. You get used to not having your person, your parent or your mother or daughter, whoever, in your life at that point, and then they come back and they just kind of try to live life the way that you did before, and it just doesn't, it's not the same, and like I said, you don't think about the things that your parents are not going to be there for, and those important life events that they're not there, and you think back on your childhood memories, and a lot of those are not with my mom, or not with my dad in that certain point where he was deployed, or versus my mom, or just growing up. And you get, and especially with the dual parents, I think is you get reliant on a lot of you have your mom there and your dad's deployed. Usually that's the normal thing. You have your mom there and your dad's in the military, and so you get really close with your mom because she's the one that's there all the time, and your dad kind of is off this way. Well, when you have both of them, you get used to being really close with your mom, and then your dad's gone, and then dad comes back and your mom's gone. And so having that back and forth, I'm blessed to still have such a great relationship with both of them as it is today, but unfortunately that's not the normal thing for a lot of kids. Normally they kind of, I don't know what the right word is, subconsciously kind of, I don't know what the right word is for that, kind of blame their own parents, I guess, for not being there. And I went through a period, me and my sister both, that we blamed my mom for not being there as when we were growing up, and she'd come back and it talked about, that she'd made the sacrifices for not being there. Well, as a little kid, all you see is your mom not there for you, and so that is something that even to this day, my mom and I and my sister and I and my dad and I all have to really deal with, is that they weren't there, and on their part it was a sacrifice that they had made. On our part, we just saw our parents not there, if that makes sense.
So as an adult today,
honestly, I feel like, and I'm a person that I believe everything happens for a reason, and the things that happen in your life shape the person that you are going to become and the person that you are. And I honestly feel like I would not have the drive and the passion for life and the things that I want to accomplish and my goals if I hadn't had to go through such challenges growing up and realizing the importance of having just people in your life that you can count on, and family, and the importance of quality time that you get to spend. And that carries over into what I want to do, as a career, as far as giving other families and friends the opportunity to make memories and to spend time together. But I would say that as far as the challenges and stuff that I went through is shaping who I am today, I appreciate the things that, looking back, it kind of stinks to not have my mom there for some really important things, or my dad there for some really important things. But then I also get to appreciate the times that they were there. And it makes a lot more of an impact, when I get to look back and appreciate those times that we were all together as a family a whole lot more. And like I said, a lot of those challenges and stuff have made me into the person of being able to persevere through a lot of really challenging things in life that I truly believe a lot of other people would not be able to handle necessarily in the same ways. It gives you definitely a different perspective on life and appreciation for the people that you get to come in contact with and get to live with. And so family in general is a lot more important to me. So I think for the most part it's comforting to know that we're not alone. Sometimes I feel like in a lot of respects my sister and I grew up thinking that there wasn't anyone else. When we went to school, no one else's parents were in the military. It was a really weird thing, and everyone else was like, oh, that's so cool, and it is cool. But at the same time, they had no idea what all it entailed. They just saw this, oh, your parents are in the military, how cool that must be for you. They didn't understand the sacrifices that we had to make as a family, as well as our parents, and how hard it was, growing up and that kind of a thing. And so I think having other people who can relate to the situation and the things that we grew up in is a comforting thing, I guess, to say that that's our miniature donkey. I'm sorry, I don't know. So basically I started out wanting to go into to be a large animal vet and to go to CSU, Colorado State University, to pursue that. And as I started doing more research and touring CSU and that kind of a thing, that I just determined that that really wasn't the best fit for me. My ultimate dream and goal is to have a facility, equine kind of event facility, that hosts, ropings, rodeo Bible camps, ranch horse camps, since I'm on the ranch horse versatility team at my college, and basically just provide the facility and the environment for families, for friends to come and to participate in events together, that they could make memories and to carry those memories, I guess, on with them, just to make a positive impact and provide the place, I guess, for those things to happen. Has been my dream for the longest time. And so when I was younger, I wanted to be a large animal vet because I thought my dream was just unique to me, that there wasn't other places or facilities that were actually like that. I thought it was just, that I created in my own head. And so I had it in my goals to become a large animal vet, go to CSU, graduate, and then save up money for the next how many ever years to be able to afford to go and buy, that kind of a ministry or that kind of a place. And as I went to Northeastern Junior College and started talking to more and more people and doing more research, I just realized that by the time I'm all said and done with vet school, it was kind of the wrong route into getting to my dream, if that makes sense, so that I can start right here, right now, and go on a straight line and pursue my dream. I don't have to go and get a different degree and spend 10 years or however long getting that degree, and when my passion's over here, I can go to school and go straight into doing what I want to do for other people now, rather than wait. I would say so. My family, both my parents weren't necessarily like the typical hard, rules. There was obviously rules and there was expectations there, but I think a lot of for me, I guess personally, I grew up and I wanted to please my parents so much that I went to school and I got straight A's, and my goals that started out becoming for my parents became slowly eventually for my own self, and realizing that that was going to benefit my future Whereas a parent always wants you to succeed in school and to do well. And I think with my mom being deployed and my dad, and they were kind of here and out and not really, my dad grew up as a truck driver, so I grew up with my dad as a truck driver. And so I think having them kind of here and gone a lot of the times, I wanted that appreciation from them so much, and that, I guess, I don't know what the right word is, them to be proud of me. I wanted my parents to be proud of me. And so from the time I started school all the way up, my report cards to my parents were a really big deal, and giving them to them and showing that I could get straight A's. And so then it kind of carried on to, through middle school and wanting to be student council president, and going on to, sports and being successful in sports all the way through high school, and participating in the clubs and FBLA, FCCLA. I was very involved in high school, all the way through high school, and then into college. My goal was to be, like I said, to have my college paid for when I went through. And so all of those things, I guess, come back to wanting to please my parents when I was little, and realizing that those same steps were setting me up for a better future. And so having military parents, they're here and gone, I think revealed in myself a desire to find out what I wanted to do, because at the end of the day, I knew I was the only one that could figure those things out. And unfortunately, as sad as this kind of is to say, I knew I really could rely on myself to be there, and to, if I wanted things to happen in life, it was going to be on my own. My parents were there, very supportive when they could be, but because they weren't always there, I had to find that in myself to have those drives and those passions. If I was going to make something of myself in life, it had to be on my own. And so I think that's, as far as my parents being in the military, pushing me to have to step up a lot earlier in life than you would have normally had your parents and had a really happy together family. You were just content, if that makes sense. When you don't really have your parents there and they're in and out, you're really forced to kind of make some decisions on what you want your life to be without them kind of there, if that makes sense. Simply put, they've allowed me to be able to pursue my dreams financially, because otherwise, if I hadn't had the scholarships given to me, I would not be able to go to college, and I would not be able to take the steps needed to be able to pursue a dream that I have, and the goals that I have in life starts with paying for college. You graduate high school, and that's kind of the first thing. You need to go find a college to go to, but no one really talks about how you're going to pay for it, in the end. And like I said, with my goal of being totally debt-free when I graduated college, I needed to find some other way to be able to do that. And my parents, military doesn't give you tons and tons of money, being that and as a career, and so they couldn't really help me financially, and they told me straight up that I needed to figure out ways to be able to provide and to go through college on my own. And so researching and finding the scholarships, that there's so many scholarships out there that are available to military kids, spouses, that kind of thing, was just such a huge blessing that I could be able to go and pursue my dreams because somebody else wanted to help support me. Things USA Scholarship has given me the foundation to pursue my dreams and to pursue my goals financially in ways that I wouldn't necessarily be able to on my own. I don't remember what I said. I feel like it was really good, but then
No, it was really good.
yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
We just needed it in like.
Okay.
The guy who
Okay.
edits the stuff is really good.
Okay.
He won't even know you didn't say it.
Okay.
Um,
Just as far as and I don't know if you'll ask my dad exactly what happened, but as far as my mom's 2 deployments growing up, I was 5 years old the first time she was deployed, and 13 years old the second time she deployed. My dad was deployed in 2009, which is right in the middle of the two. And him, I guess, and I would ask if you would ask him for his story, because it is, whenever you guys reached out to me as far as Thanks USA goes, compelling story is definitely because of him, as far as those things go. We were at home one day and we got a call basically that he had been hit by an RPG, and that we weren't sure he was going to be come home ever, and in what condition if he was to come home. And so that, as in in a sense of growing up. And another part of things that people don't really understand is when your parent or whoever loved one leaves, there's never a guarantee that they come back. And that doesn't really hit home to a lot of people until you realize that when your family member is actually put into that situation, and you have to sit there and wonder if they are going to come back. So that whole situation, I guess, in itself was a very eye-opening, not realizing or not knowing if he was going to come home to us, was a huge deal. Your dad is like, I mean, he was my idol when I was growing up. He might, is a big deal. But so as far as growing up, having my mom deployed twice, my dad deployed once, and having been hit and going through the PTSD that nobody really talks about, all the anxiety and the depression and just not coming back the same person as when they left. I think those in itself are such a challenge that nobody thinks of, I guess, if that makes sense. So.
Took away something you never even knew was on the table.
Exactly, you don't, and as a little kid, you see your mom and dad and Christmas is spent over FaceTime because they weren't there, and as a little kid, you see your parents and you think that they're going to be the same person. And I mean, there was nights that my dad went to a football game after. We used to be, my sister and I were cheerleaders in middle school, which is kind of funny, but we're not very girly girl, I guess you should say. But anyways, we were cheerleaders, and so we were at a football game, and they let off kind of a pop gun, if that makes sense. And it was shortly after my dad came back, and I mean, little everyday things like that, I mean, it set him off. He was down under the bleachers with just one pop of the gun, and you don't think about those kind of things, or like sleeping habits with him coming home, and I just waking up with night terrors and not, going to the VA, and they give you more medication to be put on, and that changes them even more because it alters, how they deal with life. And so not knowing and understanding as a little kid, you just see your mom or your dad come home and you want to go and give them hugs, and we couldn't give them hugs because they couldn't handle physical touch at that point. It was really hard. And those are the things that people don't talk about when you think about, oh, military, yay, support our country, woo woo, but you don't think about the life after the fact, and that they have to come home and be pushed back into a civilian world where no one else can really relate to them, and as a family, not understanding what they went through, having no clue what happened over there, and they come back and you just have to try to adapt to the way that they are now and the way things used to be, and accepting that they're not going to be the same as whenever they left. So I think those are the challenges, I guess, that I know those are like really, really deep things, but those are the things that people don't talk about. When it's happy military families, lovey-dovey. But
We all want to see that. We all want it to just be a happy,
yeah,
whatever you call that, fairy tale.
Yeah.
But
it's not.
just go away.
Yeah, and you see, all the commercials and stuff are families being reunited, but they don't talk about the ones that don't come home, as much, or the ones that come back as a different person, because I feel like that is just as detrimental to a child is not having them, you know what I mean, if that makes sense, I guess. Not losing necessarily, yes, losing a military person is extremely hard, but you don't realize that when they leave, every time, my mom was deployed twice, both times she came back, she was different than what she was left, and a piece of her was missing when she came back, and a piece of us was missing in that connection, and having to spend months of being used to them back in your home, in your life, and not knowing how to deal with it necessarily, of them. You get so used to your routine without them being there. When they come back and they want right back in your routine again, you have to kind of shuffle things around and realize that they're home, but not in the same ways that they were before they left, if that makes sense. My dream is to make a positive impact on the lives of other people through becoming a equine event management facility, to have an equine event knowledge. I'm not sure if they're kind of being. My dream is to make a positive difference in the lives of other people through providing a equine event facility that people can come and partake in events with their families and friends. I looked away from the camera again. Okay. Is that okay for the first part?
Yeah.
Okay. And then because of, or Thanks
So I would
USA.
say, Thanks USA has, and just it can be just a one-liner.
Thanks USA has provided me with a financial, I don't know what foundation. With a financial foundation.
There's no wrong answer.
Okay. Okay, Thanks USA has provided me with the financial opportunities to, shoot, this is hard.
Make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
No.
I guess I should have looked at this question a little
I was
bit
gonna say,
more.
if there's one we should probably.
Yeah, that we could have.